Hello students, in this video I am going to talk about John Bunyan and his famous work The Pilgrim's Progress. John Bunyan's life is important because he has written a famous work called Pilgrim's Progress, and in order to understand his work Pilgrim's Progress, it is important that we also know a bit about his life and what condition did he write Pilgrim's Progress. John Bunyan was born in the year 1628 and died 1688. His father was a tinker and he followed his father's profession. He became a travelling repairman. He used to repair the houses and other things. This is how he travelled being a repairman. So one day he repaired in one city and then he travelled to another city, and this is how he earned his livelihood. Also we get to know that in his early life he was a rebellious person and he was apathetic towards spiritual things. But later we find that one day he saw a vision, and in that vision he somewhere saw God and saw other heavenly things, and that is where the transformation began. He spent later life in spirituality. Then he started preaching as a teacher in church without permission or license from minister. So he was given a sentence to prison in November 1660. For next 12 years he was in prison, where he wrote 9 books. When he was in prison, he wrote 2 famous books during imprisonment, namely Grace Abounding and The Pilgrim's Progress. The book is divided in 2 parts, and this is part 1. The full title is The Pilgrim's Progress from this world to that which is to come. Pilgrim's Progress is an allegory. That means each and every character and place symbolizes a greater idea. City of destruction filled with sinners, on the other hand, celestial city, which everybody wants to go that city, which is city of God or paradise or heaven. So he journey from the city of destruction, which represents earth, and he wants to go to celestial city, which represents heaven. This work, Pilgrim's Progress, is about the dream in which Bunyan sees a man whose name is Christian, who is suffering from a crisis of pain. He has a burden of the sin on his back that he has committed throughout his life, and he is living in a city of destruction. Bunyan talks about Christian journey. He discusses all the places and people as well as all his adventures on his journey whom he visited. He is saying that I liked on a certain place where there was a den, and this den symbolizes prison. So he said that I was in a prison and then I slept in the prison where I dreamed a dream, and in that dream he imagines whatever is going to happen in his Pilgrim's Progress. So this entire book is a dream which John Bunyan had. Christian has been instructed by a man called Evangelist that he should go to the God's city, that is city of celestial. And Evangelist, who is a kind of a godfather to Christian, who guides him properly. And this man, Christian, he is living with his wife and children in the city of destruction, and when he decides to leave this city of destruction, he asks his wife and children to join him in this journey. But both of them refuse. So since they refuse, Christian decides that I will go this journey all alone. Christian follows the advice of his spiritual guide Evangelist to reach the celestial city. His first obstacle is the slough of despond, which he manages to overcome. Then Christian meets worldly wise man who tells him to abandon the path of religion. Christian is sheltered in Goodwill's house. Then he continue the journey together through many adventures. Christian visits the hill of difficulty and reaches the house called Beautiful. On his way down the hill, Christian faces more obstacles. He battles Apollyon in the valley of humiliation. He continues his journey through the valley of the shadow of death before being reunited with his old friend Faithful. Evangelist warns Christian and Faithful about entering the town of Vanity. Now they enter place called Vanity Fair, and they are tempted to abandon their journeys. Christian and Faithful are beaten and in prison. They stand trial for their religious faith and their rejection of the legal and moral codes of the town. Faithful is tortured and killed. Christian manages to escape from prison and is joined by Hopeful and continues his journey. Now Christian and Hopeful choose to take a shortcut that lands them in the dungeons of Doubting Castle. They are beaten and starved by the giant despair and urged to commit suicide. Finally, they use a magic key called promise to escape from the castle. They two pilgrims continue on their journey until they reach the Delectable Mountains. Here a group of shepherds give them a map to avoid traps along the way. Finally, Christian and Hopeful gleefully approach the land of Beulah. The celestial city is located in the country of Beulah. This country was on the border of heaven, and so the shining ones could be seen walking there. The landscape teems with flowers and fruit, and the travelers are refreshed. To reach the gate into the city, they must first cross a river without a bridge. Christian and Hopeful reach the river of death, where the depth of the river changes to reflect the doubt of faith of the person who enters it. At first, Christian is overwhelmed by doubt and almost drowns in the river. Hopeful rescues him and helps him until they are confident enough that the river has become shallow enough to allow them to cross. They are received into the celestial city and carried off into the clouds. Ignorance also approaches the gates but is denied entry because he has no invitation or a biblical revelation to make him worthy of heaven. And finally, the residents of the celestial city joyously welcome the pilgrims. In this way, we have discussed here John Bunyan's famous novel, The Pilgrim's Progress. Thank you.